in sound of today.
Hey guys, Joel Kryczka, sport physiotherapist, back here again. Today we're going to go over some strengthening of the neck muscles, and it's super important in jiu-jitsu obviously to have strong neck muscles, especially if you have a long neck like myself. It's not, I want to be very clear, we're not strengthening your neck here to try and fight off chokes. That is maybe going to buy you a second or two. What we're trying to do here is strengthen the neck muscles to help make sure that we protect our neck when we're basing out on our forehead, pushing into people, or even bridging or getting stacked or any of those kind of things. It's also important for helping to direct our posture when we're trying to be nice and tall and have a nice column spine. So when we're looking at strengthening our necks, I see a lot of academies doing it, well, maybe not the way that I would do it. And I'm not going to say incorrect, but there's always a better way to do things. And in my opinion, it's really important that we focus on the core muscles that live right underneath the chin. They're called the short neck flexors as a group, but it's longus capitis, longus coli, rectus capitis, and longus cervicus. And honestly, the names don't matter. Their function though, however, is to kind of hold the chin right up against the Adam's apple, or if you obviously have an Adam's apple. But what we're trying to do here is create almost like this activation of a double chin, and that activates our core in our neck, similar that we would use in core around our pelvic area. And people don't even question that when it comes to doing some low back exercises, and it's no different in the neck. And so we want to make sure that we activate these short neck flexors before we move our neck to try and encourage a proper stabilization, and then we're getting proper muscles doing the work, okay? And we typically see the injuries around the short neck flexors most commonly in a whiplash situation. You might even see it, say, in like an uppercut if you get hit and your head gets whipped back. But we, as physios, commonly see it, say, with car accidents. And what we're trying to do here is offset that and make sure that we're not getting this inability to control where the chin goes. So again, if I get a whip back this way, then these muscles in the front here get injured or strained. And just like in jiu-jitsu, we want to make sure that we have the ability to kind of stay out of this head forward poke position. This is one of the worst things you could do in jiu-jitsu, especially in someone's guard, because you don't have any power behind it. And if you're ever unsure, go in someone's guard and ask them to pull down on your head when you're in this rounded posture. You will never win. But if we sit up nice and tall and tuck our chin back, they can crank on you all they want and they're going to go nowhere. So having said that, back what I was saying is that in certain academies, you'll do these warm-ups, and what you end up seeing is people laying on their back, which is great, and they do these large movements of their neck, which is really good for mobility of their neck, but it's not working the short neck flexors. So to work the short neck flexors specifically, and you'll find it's way harder, what we're going to do is tuck your chin very gently as if, and you're going to keep the back of your head still on the mat. So it's almost like you're lengthening the back of your head up the mat as you tuck your chin. As we tuck the chin, we're going to lift about 1 millimeter. And so in my case, like my little short spiky hair is still going to touch the mat almost. And that's my start and my end position. So while I hold here, I'm going to lift about another centimeter and back down. And I'm not resting it on the mat. I'm just doing these teeny tiny little flexions. Okay, and the whole point of that is to, again, make sure that we stay as close to a neutral posture as we can as we strengthen this. I don't want to be doing this and coming way the heck up here, because then I'm going to get other muscles like the sternocleidomastoid, or these other muscles that they're great, but not what we're working on. We're trying to create a foundation and a really strong core to then build off of. So the first exercise is the short neck flexors with flexion. So we do a little chin nod, we hold it, keep it compressed throughout the whole exercise, and we lift about 1 millimeter off the mats. We're going to then lift our head about 1 centimeter up and down And you try to start with maybe, 5 or so, work your way up to 10. After we've done that, we can progress to doing the chin nod, keeping it tucked throughout. We're gonna lift a millimeter, and then we're gonna rotate about 45 degrees each way. Again, what people tend to do is as they rotate, they either blow the chin out forward, which is losing the core control, or as they're doing it, they're gonna lift their head as they're rotating. And that's, again, kicking in the sternocleidomastoids. Okay, so, and then the third one we're gonna do is we're gonna do the chin nod, hold it throughout, we lift about a millimeter, and then we're gonna sort of hover above the mats doing a side flexion, so bringing your ear to your shoulder, about 45 degrees again, and we're just gonna hover back and forth, making sure that you maintain that chin nod. Now you should feel that, again, right underneath the chin. You may, when you start, feel it right in the back, and that's likely because you've got a slouchy posture and those suboccipital muscles, the ones that live right underneath the bump on the back of your head here, they're really tight. And so if that's the case, make sure you start by gently stretching out those muscles and try to do it, regularly so that we loosen up the back and we strengthen the front. Now there's some people where they have what's called a kyphosis in the thoracic spine. And what that looks like is they're sort of rounded like this. Even though their heads are up tall, they've got this roundedness up here. And for those people, just take a towel roll and set it underneath your the curvature of your neck. And that sort of gives a little bit of a fulcrum to then be lifting off of. So when you're doing these exercises, start off quite gentle. You don't realize how hard they actually are. And when I say gentle, I mean, we're still lifting the weight of your head. So we're not adding weight or anything like that, but start off with relatively small amount of repetitions, 5 to 10 or so. And you can even sequence into, flexion into rotation into side flexion. And then as you get good, you can kind of flip around and make them longer repetition amounts. And it really builds up your control through here. Once we've done that, we've built a nice stable core base, that's when we're safe now to start building and getting into some of the wrestler bridges and stuff like that that strengthen the back and the sides of your neck, which we'll get into. But it's really, really important to make sure that you've got a nice stable base, and that creates a nice column of your spine, and that's good for both rehab of any neck injuries that happen, because these short neck flexors always get inhibited and shut off in any neck injury. And it's also good for your jiu-jitsu, making sure that you've got either a nice tall column, or that when I'm, say, inverting and I'm turning my head, that my core is activated and my head's not getting torqued into funny positions, almost giving yourself a neck crank. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the mat soon. Have a good one.
The in sound of today.